Okay, so do we have any newbies tonight? Any new people on the call?
Yes.
That's Rich Johnson.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you ever been on any of our calls before?
Yes, I am. It's been a while.
Yeah. Okay. Well, newbies, do y'all want to introduce yourselves? A lot of us we've been in these meetings for a while now, so we know each other, but we'd love to get to know y'all. Gwen, you want to get started?
Sure, I'll go. My name is Gwen Caralla. I live in University Oaks. I have been working with Ed Pettit and David Rincon and Donna Cashmore on the Rotary Grove project that along the Columbia Tap Bicycle Trail. The environment is Rotary's seventh area of focus. And so you can expect to see and do more with various Rotary clubs here in the community. I'm the chair of the District 5890 Peace Committee for Rotary.
Nice. Well, we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Good. Hello, I'm Pastor Denise Caulfield. I'm the campus director at Wesley Foundation, University Houston, and also the associate pastor, Riverside United Methodist Church on the corner of McGregor and Cullen. Good to be here with you all today.
Thank you, Pastor Caulfield.
And I'm Diane Eigelhart. I'm a member of Trinity United Methodist Church, the mission servant leader. I've met many of you on other calls in the Third Ward community work groups and initiatives. And I'm also the chair of the board at the U of H Wesley Foundation. So glad to see many of you again today.
Wonderful.
Hello.
My name's.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. I am Natasha Ashford. I am the secretary for Soleil International Nonprofit Organization. I am sitting in on behalf of Danny Asbury L., the president for our organization. I'm done.
Yeah, we've heard from Danny before. Nice to have you, Natasha.
He's in Dubai, so he asked me to sit in for him tonight.
All right.
My name's Frank Guidry. I'm pastor of Haven Chapel United Methodist Church in East Columbia, Texas. I serve as the vice president of the Wesley Foundation at University of Houston's board, and glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you.
My name is Janetta Singletary. I am the worthy matron of Chapter number 357 from Order of the Eastern Star. And I am sitting in for, with myself and LaTanya Jordan. We're joining in on the call because we want to be more involved in the communities of 3rd and 5th Ward. We've been doing fundraisers and community services out there, but we just recently met Jennifer this weekend. We volunteered with the organization, and we're interested in trying to create another avenue to reach communities around us.
Awesome. Anybody else?
Yes, my name is Rich Johnson. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Rich Johnson, I'm the president of BIG, Block Improvement Group in 3rd Ward under Change Happens. And I also have a nonprofit called Sync Projects. We are responsible for quite a bit of art in the neighborhood. We created a portion of our neighborhood on Ennis and Elgin, and it's called 3rd Ward Art Block. And well, that's just to introduce myself. I'll wait so we can talk about other things.
Okay. Well, you'll get a chance to talk about your thing, I promise.
No problem.
Well, Rich, anybody who's been around 3rd Ward any period of time knows who you are and appreciates the work you do.
Thank you.
Also, Jennifer, if I could just briefly say, I have not met Pastor Caulfield before, but Denise, I want to tell you that you are, and I'm right here at right behind Good Hope. And I want to tell you that you and your parishioners are amazing, amazing. I have several senior neighbors who are kind of shut into their homes. And I have used the pantry to come and pick up vital foodstuffs for them. So if I never get to put my eyes on you, I want to say God bless you and thank you for the work that you and your parish do.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate that. And I will pass that on to them. We would love to do that. And if y'all ever want to get out, please come by the garden where you can see more fresh vegetables and things that have been grown there. And you're able to sit out and just meditate if you like cold weather these days.
Well, I'm super excited that we have so many first timers on the call tonight. Thank you all for participating, and I hope that you continue on with us. We meet every second Monday at this time, and we're glad to have more community voices on the line. So since there are so many new people, we are Healthy Outdoor Communities. We are a collaborative that is working for better healthy parks, healthy people, healthy communities to support good health and well-being in children, youth, and families of historically undervalued communities by utilizing free, safe, and easily accessible neighborhood parks and green spaces. And the funding that we have received, I should say the vast majority of the funding that we've received from the HOG Foundation for Mental Health is to serve Acres Homes and Third Ward. I say the vast majority because we've now gotten additional funding in to also serve Acres Homes and Third Ward. But it was the funding from the HOG Foundation that really got that whole ball rolling. We're very excited about that. You can find out more about Healthy Outdoor Communities at neoproject.org/HOC. I'm your primary contact at HOC, and there's my email. You are always welcome to reach out to me via email, phone, text, whatever works best for you. The three primary organizations that kind of got Healthy Outdoor Communities off and running, it started as a NEO initiative, but we brought on Houston Parks Board almost immediately, and they were like, yes, let's do this. And so Houston Parks Board is actually probably the primary reason, well, not probably, they are the primary reason why we've been able to bring in as much funding toward this initiative as we have been. They have very generously stepped up as the fiscal sponsor of the Communities of Care grant with HOG Foundation. And they bring tons of resources to the table. Texas A&M School of Public Health, they are overseeing kind of the evaluation of everything we do over the course of this several year grant project. So that's just a little bit more about us. I'm going to start out tonight, since a lot of us saw each other first thing this morning at Kirk's service. I want to start out by giving people the chance to maybe say a couple of words about Kirk. We have a lot to go through tonight, so I know we could spend all day talking about what an amazing person Kirk was, and the legacy that he is leaving in Third Ward, and honestly in communities outside of Third Ward as well. But you guys that have been on these calls before know that Kirk was one of our community engagement liaisons with Healthy Outdoor Communities. In fact, I think Kirk was the first person we officially invited to be a community engagement liaison. And so he passed away recently, and this morning was a memorial service at his church that was just a fantastic service of celebration and tribute to Kirk. One thing I'll say right off the bat is that Carolyn Evans Shabazz was there. We all know that how involved she is in everything Third Ward. And we were super excited to hear her announce on behalf of the mayor of Houston that November 21st will in perpetuity be recognized as Kirk Jackson Day in the city of Houston. So that was super exciting.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
What an amazing.
All right.
But there were other
Yeah.
tributes as well. That's just one of them. Several organizations stepped up with various tributes, and we'll be working on a tribute on our part as well. Does anybody else want to say a few words about Kirk?
Sure, this is
Diane
Curtis.
Hart
from
Oh, good.
Trinity United Methodist Church, and I met Kirk by working in the third ward, and many people on this call I met through Kirk. And I had the opportunity before his health began to really deteriorate too much to talk to him several times this summer. And we had one last project that we did together. And I just, like you said, it's the legacy, and I just feel so honored that he called me to initiate that. And it's something I'll never forget. I'll never forget that.
This is Curtis Davis. One thing that's been on my heart in terms of this recent passing of Kirk is how we might best, as a community, memorialize him. Some people have talked about murals and this and that. I'm not so specific about the what as I am about the how. And that is, he has been about community. He's been involved in many, many projects. Many of them I worked on with him. And his openness and genuineness has been an ongoing inspiration for me. Whenever I got down on things that were going on in the community, if I talk to Kirk about it, he has a way of being real about what's worthy of being down about, but not staying down about. And I think that spirit needs a way of being memorialized. So I'm hoping that we can develop a process where we can have a dialogue about that and develop collectively and collaboratively an idea that his family would support, and develop it with his family if they want to be involved, for a memorial to Kirk, a permanent memorial in the community to his work and to his spirit.
And I should say something on a personal level about me and Kirk. We met, the first time we met was at a super neighborhood meeting. And of course, Kirk being Kirk, after the meeting, everybody's getting up and going and talking to people. And I hear this, that low voice that Kirk had. I hear a voice from behind me saying, "Hey, Jennifer, hey, Jennifer." And I looked behind, it was Kirk. He said, "Come here." He sat down, he beckoned me to come to him. And I was so happy to meet him. He was so enthusiastic and energetic about the community. And as Kirk described our relationship from the first time we met, we took to each other like ducks take to water. We didn't always agree on everything. We had some great debates, but we just, I have such a fondness for him. And I like to think that he had a fondness for me. So I'm very happy to have known that man and benefit from his legacy.
It goes without saying that Kirk's intellect was deep, and the breadth and width of his experience and contribution to his beloved Third Ward community was vast. But his intellectual acumen that he brought to the issues that we're tackling were immense. And I know that everyone on the call today that has some impact in our beloved Third Ward community embraces the same. And I pray that we sort of channel that energy as we go forward.
Yeah. Awesome.
Funny as Diane, you and I have not met before, but Kirk mentioned your name several times. So it's good to put a face to you.
Yeah, it's good to put a face. He knew how to connect people. He really did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. So thank you, Jennifer, for this opportunity for everyone to say a word.
I know we'll be talking about ways that we can honor him as a collaborative. Rich had an idea I know he's intending to do a project on the Cinque property, right, Rich?
Yes. Actually, the building is located off of Emancipation in Elgin. It's right behind the Navy Seafood. It's a beautiful white space there.
Mhm.
And I was thinking about using it for two things, but you know what? Kurt is a deserving man. I'm going to use that whole wall for him.
That's amazing.
And Rich, they may not know what you're referencing, an art, a mural of sorts, right?
Yes, it's a mural. I apologize. Yes. I already have the artist in place. I have the paint in place. So as Sharon, as we mentioned about getting permission from the family, I think we need acknowledgement from that because I don't want to do anything outside of their approval.
Sure.
Well, if you guys are comfortable putting your contact information in the chat, in fact, everybody, if you can at least put your name, and if you're with an organization, put that in the chat. If you also want to share contact information and maybe even say if you're interested in participating in any kind of acknowledgements or projects that we do recognizing Kirk, maybe we can start talking a little bit offline about those potential projects as well.
Awesome.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then thank you.
My vision is to have the garden behind him because that was his thing.
Okay. So we will start getting into the nitty gritty. Once again, I know we could spend all night talking about Kirk.
That's true.
But we'll get lots of other chances to talk about him going forward. Right. So this is a little bit about the Communities of Care grant. I'm not going to read through all of these next slides because you're going to get a copy of this slide deck and a recording of our meeting tonight. So you'll get all that by Friday. You guys should get all of that. One thing I will say about these two slides so that when you do get the chance to review them, it's important to know that all of the words under our values and what we do were selected by the community. We're kind of an interesting collaborative in that we didn't come in and just tell Acres Homes in Third Ward like what we were going to do. We really listened to what community members said, and it was the community members that chose the language on these slides. And so we have kind of become what the community has asked us to become, and we continue to work on that and on an ongoing basis. So one thing came up, gosh, I guess a couple of weeks ago in a conversation with one of our collaborative partners, is who we've always considered a collaborative partner in healthy outdoor communities. It started with NEO and Houston Parks Board and Texas A&M, but now it's so much more. It's all of these community-based organizations and larger agencies and community members. I just want to clarify because the partner that we were talking to was like, well, healthy outdoor communities is really NEO and healthy outdoor and Houston Parks Board. And I was like, hold on, you're healthy outdoor communities too. And it occurred to me that there might be some confusion in that. And so I wanted to kind of kick off the meeting tonight by, if there's any confusion on that, please know that you are all part of healthy outdoor communities, your organization, you as an individual. If you're working on anything that promotes park and outdoor equity and access to nature and community well-being, you're working toward healthy outdoor communities goals. And we consider you a part of the Healthy Outdoor Communities Collaborative. Kelly has talked about this a couple of times in previous meetings. In January, February, we are going to kind of make a more concrete, maybe an MOU or something kind of giving more structure to the collaborative so that there is less confusion about what healthy outdoor communities is. In the meantime, I definitely want to talk to you as an individual or your organization on how you think you can best participate in healthy outdoor communities. What are your goals as an organization, and how can the rest of our HOC partners help you reach your goals and help contribute to activities or events or things like that that you have going on. How do you see yourselves plugging into us, and how do you see us plugging into you and your organization? So I just wanted to bring that up front. Do you guys have any questions about that, first of all? Okay, Curtis, I can't tell if you're trying to talk or if you're talking to somebody else.
I'm sorry, I muted myself. It's not so much a question as it is a suggestion based on what you mentioned in terms of the response that people gave you about healthy outdoor community. And, you know, the group went through a fairly deliberate and thorough process to kind of work through develop the work plan, if you will. And maybe a much shorter version of that, just maybe an evening, could be devoted to an effort around branding. That is, who are we? Yeah, and a real simple way of thinking about it is in the current logo. If that tree had roots, and those roots were kind of like a mind map that had the names of the neighborhoods and organizations and individuals that connected to it. How do you, I'm not suggesting that to be a graphic, I'm just saying that's what came to mind as a notion about branding. That is, how do you communicate that this is a collaborative of organizations, people, and neighborhoods that have this common interest in healthy outdoor communities.
That's great. Thank you.
Well, Jennifer, I've been partnering with a lot of young people in the neighborhood who have started their own organizations. And I think they're pretty much in line as to what you're doing and to what I'm doing. So I will provide your information with them so we can do a little more collaboration in getting the word out as to what we're trying to do. You know, there's a lot of ideas that are floating because they'll bounce them to me. And I know I hadn't reached out to you, but I will in the future, because what Cinque Project has started is that we have a vending space for kids from the ages of 5 to 18. It's free. We provide the tables, the chairs, the tents, the generator, the snow cones. And the turnout is, I would say, minimal, because I'm a strong advocate for entrepreneurship. And I think having a space like that and bringing, as a matter of fact, the students at TSU art department, they would come out and actually provide canvases for the kids to paint on. So in doing some collaboration, getting more people involved in acknowledging what we're doing and how we're working together, I think that would help, because it's truly a healthy outdoor community that we're all supporting.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rich. And I should tell you guys, along those lines of what Rich was just describing with Cinque and what they're doing, one of the reasons you guys remember, we used to have our meetings on Wednesday morning at like 10:30, I think, and we shifted it to an evening meeting. One of the reasons why is because we wanted more parents and young people to be able to participate in the collaborative. So that's definitely something that we are focusing on now, is how can we bring more young voices into the collaborative and have them be a part of the decision making and help guide the direction that we're headed. So just to keep that in mind, Rich, feel free to invite any of the young people you're involved in to participate in these meetings. And then we're also working with some schools to see how we can better plug into students to get them more involved in making these decisions that ultimately affect their lives in the community, and get them more invested in becoming leaders within the community going forward.
Good idea.
Thank you. One thing that I wanted to bring up, we've talked about this in previous meetings, the community checkbox, and that is an evaluation system that we are using to kind of track projects going on in the community that go toward healthy outdoor communities goals from all of our partner organizations and you on the line tonight. So community checkbox, to give you an idea of the type of information we're tracking through that evaluation system, and we're tracking it long-term, and we will share the findings and the evaluation kind of light bulbs that go off as we go along. You can check out this form that we have here. And as you have an event or an activity or a win, if you will, you can submit that information through this short form, and we can enter that information into community checkbox. We share that data with all of your organizations so that, for instance, in the future, if you were seeking funding from somewhere, or if you were trying to let your constituents know what you're a part of as being a part of the Healthy Outdoor Communities Collaborative, you would have that extra data to kind of say, hey, we're a part of this big collaborative, and together we're working together to benefit the communities. And we've had this many successes, and we've hosted this many events serving this many people, and we've created systems change, and we've done all of these things. So that will be provided to you guys as we get that information plugged into community checkbox. We'll give reports on that fairly regularly once we do have all of our existing information put in there, which hopefully we'll have up to date within the next couple of months. And once again, if you submit your information through that quick little Google form, we'll add all of your information in as well. And then that will only help all of our collaborative partners that much more. And please.
Jennifer, will that be available online just as like a dashboard, or is it going to be a report that you periodically crank out?
It won't be online in the way that like anybody can just go and pull it up. It's not really available like that, but we can pull different types of reports. And once we get more of our data put in, I'll have another segment on one of our upcoming meetings showing you what types of reports and graphs and visuals we can create, because it allows us to do all of that.
Yeah, I just want to admonish you on data equity. Yeah, as you gather information from the community, that information should, and I know it's difficult, and I know it's not a matter of not having an attitude that would support this, but this question of how do you make it as available to them as the survey of gathering the data. So all these communities are studied quite a bit. And what happens is that we don't have a sense of ownership of what the output is of that analysis. Yeah. And coming up with a way such that the request is equally equivocated with the result.
Let me better explain. So when I say not everybody can log in, it's impossible. Not everybody can log in.
I understand.
But what we can do is, if the community or if our collaborative members or whoever say, we'd like to pull reports on this type of information, we'd like to have a graphic on this information, then we can do that on a regular basis and provide that. Okay. I don't think that's an issue.
Yeah, no, and I'm sure it's not. It's just a mindset. Yeah. That there's a feeling in the community that, particularly in the third ward, and I think it's probably growing in the Acres homes, that the communities are studied to death. Yeah. And that a lot of people and that of the initiatives that I've seen, you have led an initiative that has a genuine feeling about collaboration, and you kind of get it. And so it's really just a mindset that we need to constantly cultivate, that, as we seek to take information to learn, we make sure that those that we harvest, that we sow seeds as much as we do harvest around data.
Well, hopefully, I hope, this is my goal. Don't hold my feet to the fire, but I'm going to try my best to get all of the stuff that we have so far entered into the system by our February meeting. And
Yeah.
at that meeting, maybe I can have some various graphs and stuff to kind of show you what it would look like. And then we can go from there.
Yeah, I don't have an answer. It's just really a challenge to us all, not just to you.
Absolutely. Okay.
Hey, Jennifer.
Yeah.
Regarding connectivity, I know on each of these collaborative meetings, you invite attendees to share their information in the chat. Is there the formation of any other list of those that have been in attendance that can be shared with the group? Or are you just relying upon attendees to share their own contact information?
Yeah, I don't know that we can really share people's contact information, like just do that, because we do want to honor people's levels of privacy they're comfortable with. So it really is a matter of who wants to share in the chat.
Right.
Like I have a list
So
of
I asked that everyone has it. Right. So I asked that everyone who's on the call tonight, who is vested and engaged in the third ward community, please share your information in the chat.
Absolutely.
Jennifer, I think that can be a goal of ours for, as we try to put a little bit more structure behind this and folks are able to, sign the sheet of paper that their organization's interested in being more involved. It doesn't have to be a contract. It's just a quick little thing. But I think sharing of contact information should be a part of that so we can start to build a contact sheet.
Yeah.
Because what happens is we're all here, we're all active and rooted on various projects in the community. I'm like, oh, I remember on that call, oh, who was that? Oh, no, I don't remember who that was. And so we are sort of just, some of us know, a lot of us know each other, but as you've mentioned, there's several on the call tonight that are new, newbies. And so the connectivity builds strength to all of our projects. And it's needed.
Along those lines, so whoever is comfortable sharing at least their emails, I have all of your emails. So maybe just real quick in the chat, just put share. And then I know that I can share your emails with people that are interested in touching base. In the meantime, before we come up with like an official system for this,
right?
That might be something.
If it becomes abusive, then just block folk, easy. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so we're going to kind of go through this real quick too, because you're going to get this slide, but we've gone over these tentative budget categories over the last few meetings now. So I'm going to move straight into talking about one of those categories specifically, or actually Linda is gonna do this for me. Linda, are you available?
No, she wasn't able to join today.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess I can talk about it.
Yeah, I guess. Please go for it.
So one of our budget categories is gardens. And we've talked about 3 different types of gardens: community gardens, pollinator gardens, and mini orchards. And so we have per community under these tentative budget categories. And I say tentative because if the community decides that they don't need a full $8,000 under service projects, but they'd like to have more money under their tactical urbanism project, we can move money around buckets and change things up as the community sees fit, as you guys see fit, or to put in your input. So under gardens, each community, Acres Homes and Third Ward, currently has a bucket of $5,000. Now, one thing that changed since we originally created these bucket categories based on community priorities is that Acres Homes, recently it was announced through the generosity of Be Well Acres Homes, and Amelia's on the line with us. She's our liaison through that project. they got a ton of funding for all kinds of gardening projects in Acres Homes. So Acres Homes might want to put money toward other types of projects. Third Ward also said, hey, we've got some good community gardens. We might shift some money around somewhere. But one thing I wanted to bring up is, as we're talking about gardens, is that we have 3 little free libraries that we're doing in Acres Homes. The community voted on to approve the school sites where those will go. The community in Third Ward approved 2 sites for little free libraries to go in Third Ward. And those are at Yellowstone Academy and Lockhart Elementary. And then we had a third one that we could potentially do. One that has been suggested is one at Boynton Chapel. So we have that option. Now, another thing that changed since we originally created these buckets of funding is that the cost of little free libraries has gone up. So we would need to, if we're going to support 3 little free libraries in each community, then we would need to take $750 out of another budget category. So in Third Ward, gardens might be an area that you would want to take that $750 out of. But I'm just bringing that up as an example. You certainly don't need to do that. But we'll be, since Ed, are you on the line?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So Ed, if you want to say just a quick word about the potential for Boynton Chapel, and then we'll probably end up, voting on something around it at the next meeting.
Sure. So the reason why Boynton Chapel was identified as a potential site for Little Free Library is because that section of Third Ward east of Scott Street, bounded by University of Houston, the Gulf Freeway, and Spur 5, doesn't have a Little Free Library, whereas the ones that we currently have and are proposed are on the west side of Scott Street. So, and really the largest kind of community hub for that University Village neighborhood east of Scott Street is Boynton Chapel. And so I'm meeting with Pastor Davis tomorrow to scope out a potential site.
Okay. So when you guys get a potential site kind of nailed down, then we can talk about that a little bit more at next month's meeting and make a decision on that as the community.
Sure.
Okay. All righty. So what I wanted to do tonight, mainly under gardens, is give community members the opportunity to recommend gardening projects to support, whether they're a mini orchard, pollinator gardens, or community gardens, whatever. So we are going to, first of all, let me ask, how many, if you can do the raise hand feature on your Zoom, if you have a project that you would like to suggest or talk about very, very briefly. Any hands going up?
Wait a minute. Wait.
Well, Rich, I know you have one for Third Ward.
I'm trying to get it.
Ed has one for Third Ward. Diane has one for Third Ward. Do we have any representing Acres Homes?
It's gonna get to beach house ready for the next ministers. Be back tomorrow.
Jennifer,
when you said project, you mean like our community gardens that we have are existing in the or projects that we're proposing?
It can be either, just so we have an idea of how interested the community is in supporting gardening projects for both Acres Homes and Third Ward, just so we can kind of get an idea. So if we have multiple people from each community, then I can separate us out into breakout rooms so that you guys, if each person representing a potential project can take just 2 minutes to give the elevator speech of what the project is. And then if we can have a good note taker in the breakout rooms to give us a synopsis of that and hit the record button. Kelly, I'll make you a co-person so you can hit record. And then we can.
I don't think we have anyone from Acres Homes. If we just all want to stay in here, we can.
Okay. All right, so maybe the conversations that we have regarding Third Ward might spur a thought about a potential project in Acres Homes. So I'm gonna call on people in the order I just see them on our screen, if that's okay. I just want to confirm there wasn't anybody from Acres Homes. Okay, like I said, Acres Homes has a ton of gardening projects going on now, thanks to Be Well Acres Homes. So Ed, you are the first person I see.
So we recently at Texas Southern, where I'm a graduate student, identified a site that used to be a community garden on the campus just off of Cleburne Street, next to the Wallop TSU Preparatory Academy. It was a preparatory school supported by, I believe, the Lawson family, and it went defunct. And so I'm working with Professor Sheree Smith, who's also involved in Blodgett Urban Gardens, to assess the site and see how best to revive it. Maybe looking at a lower maintenance version using native plants. So once we finish that analysis, I'll report back.
Wonderful, thank you. And then Rich, you are the next person I see.
Yes, I've been working with a few people that work with Cinque projects, and the idea came about creating a spice garden. And we were trying to actually put it together through using PCP piping and growing spices in the allocated spot that we use as a green space behind the murals. So that's something that we have. We're also adding benches there too.
Okay. And then Diane?
Yes, I'm here with Reverend Carfield and with another board member, Reverend Guidry. And we, as Reverend Carfield already said, the U of H Wesley Foundation has already created a community garden, and it is on the site of Riverside United Methodist Church. So I'm going to allow Reverend Carfield to expand on that, on how we are already impacting the neighborhood with that, with the food insecurities, and how we want to continue to make a difference.
Okay, so it sounds like, was there anybody else? Those were the only three hands I saw raised.
No, Reverend Carfield.
Oh, is she talking right now?
Yeah, I mean, she will be.
Okay. I didn't see her head. I'm so sorry.
I thought I had raised my hand. Raise your hand if you're sure. I'm sure now. My hand is raised.
Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you for the opportunity. I just want to tell you that we do have a community garden restarted this summer. Several churches came in and built this garden in about 5 weeks. We have 7 raised beds and 6 benches already established, in addition to a medicinal and herbal garden. The idea came from the Wesley Foundation, UH, that we should be conscious of the community the University of Houston is in. So through that efforts, through the Wesley Foundation, we came together and created this awesome garden. And it is up and running. My goodness, we've had okra, over 100 pounds of okra in distribution, and bell peppers. Now we have different kinds of greens and you name it that we've given out now throughout the community. So because we are active in it, this is our first year, we can duplicate our efforts and be more directly within the community and not on so much the outskirts, where the community can not only assist in raising it, but hold ownership and making differences in their life, you know, by eating healthier foods and things. We hear so many forums talking about health issues, but what if we have it in training the people within the community to eat healthier foods, and then not only eating it, but holding ownership and maintaining the gardens. And that's what we're doing, and that's what we're about.
That's awesome.
Oh,
And-
one we actually have a master gardener who does come in and work with us. My thumb is not green, but she has came in on board to helping us to show us how to grow the gardens as well. And we do trainings throughout the year on eating healthy, what to plant, and how to make better choices. And then, of course, the medicinal and the herbs to be used rather than the stuff we're buying in the stores.
And the garden also includes pollinators. She put some
Yeah, it does.
pollinator plants there as
They're
well.
vegetables. You have to have pollinators.
Yes,
Yeah, she had
definitely.
pollinators in it. She organized it as such.
Yes.
Since we're on that right now, Rich and Ed, I was at the Third Ward Chess Park where we actually, I was there installing our certified Monarch Way Station sign that community members and a bunch of organizations and the Lions helped create. We have big planter boxes out there with tons of pollinator plants in them. And while I was out there today, I took a ton of photos. I'm going to send them out to Ed and Rich. I stopped counting at 57 caterpillars, monarch
Awesome.
caterpillars. Those garden beds are full of monarch, big, fat, 4th and 5th instar caterpillars that are about to start converting into their chrysalises and become monarch butterflies. So, you know, it's at Live Oak and McGowan across from a discount liquor store. We have a serious monarch way station that is really making a positive contribution toward conservation in Third Ward, which is amazing. So I'll send out pictures of that because I was just blown away. It's every time I turned my head an inch, I saw another caterpillar.
Thanks, Jennifer. We're excited about the designation. Thanks for putting up the sign.
You're welcome.
Mm-hmm.
And then Darlene, I see your hand is up.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I'm trying to go to a quiet room because I have a maternity home. Okay. Y'all can see me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Okay. I wanted to ask, we have a maternity home for pregnant women. But we're in the Sunnyside area, like close to like Cullen and Belfort. So is that considered, I know it's not Third Ward, but would it be considered an area for a garden?
That's a tough one. So the funding that we have was specifically designated to Third Ward and Acres homes. We've made we funded some projects that were technically outside the exact boundaries because those sites were serving people from Acres Homes or Third Ward. So there have been some things like that, but we also have, there are some collaborating organizations that have stuff going on in like the OST, South Union, Third Ward. So it's, even if it's something that we can't directly help, we can definitely maybe put out tentacles to some of our other partners that are doing work in spaces outside of the boundaries of Third Ward and Acres Homes. But that's a conversation for community.
Okay.
I love that you have a maternity home though. That's spectacular.
Thank you. Yes, I have 2 maternity homes actually.
Darlene, I don't know if you see it or not, but Pastor Caulfield is asking that you give her a buzz.
And
email me your contact
are you
information.
did you put it in the chat? Did you put your information in the chat, young lady?
Yes, I did. I'll put it back in there. It's Gore's Lovely Butterflies Maternity Home.
Okay.
So Denise, you see it? It should be in the chat. I saw it.
Wonderful. We can put out tentacles.
Yeah. And you have okay, you put your email in there, ma'am?
I'm doing it right. I'm sending everything. Okay.
Jennifer?
Yes.
Just a quick question. Would it be not unreasonable if the gardens were built as box gardens, like raised box gardens in the Third Ward and Acres Homes and then shipped and used at the home? Would that work?
That's kind of a question for community. It's something that can be discussed.
Yeah, I think if we think about projects that are pollinator projects, and so there's training and learning for a lot of people about building a box garden, right?
Yeah.
That they could use on their balcony, or you can put a bunch of them together in a smaller area. And if they got built and the training about how to use them was happening out of one of those two neighborhoods, and it went to a third neighborhood or third place as a kind of the learning still grows and strengthens in the neighborhoods that are being funded.
This
And
is why
they
we love you, Curtis. Curtis always has solutions.
But anyway, I'm just saying that that might be one approach.
Yeah,
That's a wonderful idea.
I like that.
Darlene, send me all of your information, like email me, jennifer.boley@neoproject.org. Send me all of your stuff, and we'll, between all of our tentacles we have here, I think we can probably figure out a way to help you out.
Thank you so much.
Because it seems like everybody on the call is very jazzed about you.
Yesterday, for our group too, we came out to volunteer yesterday with Kyra. That was me.
Oh,
yes,
that's you.
Yes.
Hi, darling. Okay, great. So this is so wonderful. I met wonderful faces this weekend that I've never met in person before, and so this is I'm having a good day today. All righty. Was there anybody else who wanted to speak about gardens? So it looks like we've got gardens. We're interested in kind of community garden through Reverend Caulfield, and then a couple of pollinator garden projects, and then Rich's herb garden project, which is also, a lot of people don't realize that herbs are a big part of pollinator gardening. In fact, this time of year, I was just at our certified monarch way station putting up the sign at Kathy's urban homestead as well in that garden. And while a lot of the native pollinator plants have already stopped blooming, the basil is particularly the African basil is going nuts. And that is actually the first time I've ever had a challenge actually getting my hands into a plant, because there were so many bees all over it. And usually bees are pretty laid back. I've never actually been stung by a bee, but these bees were serious about me touching their basil. So yeah, herb gardens are very, very beneficial to pollinators. So that's cool. And Gwen, I see your hand just shot up.
Yes, we recently had a company called Moonshot come to our civic club meeting, and they are all about diverting food waste. And one of the things, and so you can they will come to your house and pick up your food waste and take it and have it composted. At the end of the year, you get the compost.
Oh, that's cool. You get it back.
Yeah. So they were actually looking for in the area, and I was thinking about church right over here at church. They could so it's less expensive. People like I don't come on, but I'll.
Gwen, you're breaking up real bad, but if you can put that information in the chat, I can make sure everybody gets it.
Yes, definitely. We have a compost as well, so we might work something out.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Moonshot is, and I'm sorry, it dropped off, but Moonshot are the people to get in touch with.
Okay. And then it looks like Reverend Caulfield, they're looking for some compost at their garden. So that might, like one of the big community gardens that I'm involved in, they allow just community members to come put compost. Of course, there's a sign saying what kind of compost goes where, and they distribute the compost back to the community gardeners that are all out there. So that might be something that could be looked into for third ward.
What Moonshot does is, like, let's suppose they would establish a container there or whatever for people to just drive by and dump their stuff, and then at the end of the year, then the community garden would get the compost.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Oh, that's cool. All right. So I'm going to put a synopsis of the gardening suggested projects that we heard from tonight. And I'll be reaching out with some questions that I just have. But before we move on, and we'll talk about this more at next month's meeting, but did anybody have any questions for any of the people that just talked about their potential projects?
Hey, Jennifer, Valerie, I just had one question because I noticed people were saying they do have community gardens, and then they mentioned they also have pollinator gardens. Does it have to be a choice, or can they be combined like that?
If we do community gardens, usually, well, if NEO's involved, there's always a pollinator garden in the community garden. But I think in general, community gardeners understand that they need to have pollinator plants in there. Reverend Caulfield, you said you have a pollinator garden in yours, right? And I know that there's one at Blodgett. Yeah, every community garden I've been involved with has pollinator gardens built in, but it was really a question of, say they don't necessarily want to have a big community garden, at least they'd like to have a pollinator garden. And it sounded like a couple of the projects were kind of like that, right?
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I think this is Sharon. What's sort of resonating with me, and I heard part of Curtis's commentary, it would be education with regard to residents in our respective communities, just regarding gardening generally. I have a friend that has a project where she installs hydroponic gardens in someone's home. It could be like over your sink area, in your kitchen. Everyone may not be open to a community gardening concept, but could maybe explore, with a little education, explore gardening in their own space, either through hydroponics or through earth at their homes.
Right. I have a master gardener that I use at the foundation, and she's pretty awesome, and looking at all the things you just mentioned, Sharon.
I think you could reach all sorts of people in that regard.
It's really
even
cool.
Herbs, basil, arugula, all the stuff.
All the above, yes. Yeah.
So maybe we should add that as, instead of just the types of gardens, the type of program being gardening education, and putting some of the funding toward the education component. Huh? Is that what you're saying, Sharon?
Great idea.
Question for you, Jen.
I think you have the capacity to reach more people. I'm not a community gardener, but I'm completely open to doing something in my own private space.
Yeah. Jennifer.
Yeah.
Oh, my question is, my wife is a certified chef, and she's always looking for fresh vegetables, fresh this, fresh that. I think we need to sort, and she has like a network of other chefs around the city. I think we need to sort of connect ourselves with them as well. And they can bring the healthy side of cooking and how to use the ingredients into what we're actually growing.
Wonderful.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Yeah. And that's something that many people in the community are interested in, food preparation.
Absolutely.
The best way to prepare it for the health preventative measures and management health measures.
Yes.
And the best type of food to use.
Exactly.
What's the best thing to cook for? Yeah.
Yeah. She works with about 17 other chefs when they do big functions and stuff like that. And there's this one gentleman that's a master chef, and I'm sure that we can coordinate with him and allow them to come in and use our ingredients and to help train us as to, what we're doing. Because my wife is actually at TSU now studying to become a, what was that?
Well, actually, this is
But go ahead, Sharon.
This is a blossoming idea because through Healthy Outdoor Communities, I don't know, the newbies on the line may not know, there are liaisons that work in the Third Ward and Acres Home communities that are from those communities and work within those communities. And we are Healthy Outdoor Communities liaisons. we all went on a camping experience together. A couple of us are on the line tonight. A camping experience where we prepared our own food with these outdoor cooking elements and tables and equipment, all kinds of stuff. I say all that to say that the idea was that, certainly with regard to Blodgett Gardens, that some of that equipment could be used when they have an outdoor cooking experience. And so I want to shared with Pastor Caulfield and with Diane that I'm one of the third ward liaisons. I would be more than happy to share some of that equipment that we use for outdoor cooking if you had some outdoor
great
experiences. And Rich, of course, and it goes without saying, and bringing in professional cooking element and already having the equipment available to use. They use little propane tanks, little bitty ones. Yeah. So maybe that's an idea of a project that you guys could do in at Riverside.
So Neo
got
is your information in the chat? Is your information in the chat?
Girl, I sent you 3 times in that chat. Look at the chat. I said
so let me throw out
4 times.
Well, I don't know your name. What's your name?
Sharon Evans Brooks.
Sharon Evans Brooks. Okay.
In
Yes,
Acres Homes, Neo was awarded some support from Be Well Acres Homes to get up and going 7 sustainable school gardens that will be, significant gardens. And part of what we're using some of that funding for, I'm the one that taught them how to use the outdoor cooking equipment, guys. That's why I'm bringing it up, is to purchase that outdoor cooking setup for each school, so that they would, instead of having to rely on calling in an outside organization like the Houston Food Bank or others, which are wonderful for doing that sort of work. But in this case, if the school knew, gosh, we've got a huge tomato harvest today, let's bring out the stove and the folding table and teach the kids how to stew up some tomatoes while we're in the garden harvesting. So that is a great way to utilize that outdoor cooking equipment, is to, as you have the opportunity, seize the moment. And yeah, we can definitely talk about doing stuff like that in the existing community gardens. So we have a lot of great projects to think about in Third Ward, in addition to all the ones that are going to be starting up here in Acres Homes too. So that's exciting. So I'll collect.
Jennifer.
Yes.
Jen, you may know about this long-standing initiative, but I don't think the group does. I suggest giving every child in the 2nd grade in our 7 elementary schools in Acres Homes some seeds: peppers, tomatoes, and lettuce, and a foot of garden soil. They grow the plants for the next 2 months, and they transplant them in their backyards or side yards or whatever, or empty lot next door. Their father digs them a 1 foot by 6 inch hole. You fill it with garden soil. Make them much more aware of vegetables rapidly. I suggest this is done in the next month. It's not an expensive project. That's all.
Good idea.
Thank you, David. David, if you guys haven't heard David, and Rich, I know you haven't been on a call with David yet. He is all about getting the kids gardening and growing their own fresh food. So Rich and David, you guys should chat sometime.
Yeah, good idea.
Share your contact information in the chat.
Oh, mine is already there.
Okay.
SNK project.
Okay, Rich.
Okay.
So is mine, Rich.
Was
All
that
right.
only for elementary and middle school, or is high school students included in that? I think
Let's get them started right away.
Yeah.
They're mentally able to do this.
Love that. Okay.
Hi, Tanya. It's good to see you.
Hi.
Yeah, so the projects we're doing in Acres Homes they vary across all kinds of grade levels. I will just quickly say this. A lot of times we do all of our focusing for all sorts of projects at the elementary school level. And then when a young person finally has a little bit of self-reliance to do stuff on their own, we just never talk about the stuff that we talked about with them in elementary again. And so it is important to definitely get kids started, but then we also have to keep it going throughout their school experience. We can't just forget about it after they get out of 5th grade and expect them to pick it up on their own again as adults. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say on my soapbox there. All right. So we will talk more about gardens and all of these great ideas that you guys have next month. I'll collect it all together, and I'm sure I'll be reaching out to some of y'all with some extra questions, and we can dive into it more next month. We already talked about Little Free Libraries, and Ed will get us an update on a potential location at Boynton Chapel that the community can vote on. And we'll talk again about what budget category we think we might want to take that $750 from to do the 3 free libraries. If we want to do 3 libraries in each community, I know Acres does, 3rd Ward, you guys can still make that decision based on what Ed comes back with. And then, so I was going to do a breakout room here, but it's already 7:13 and we're running out of time. The only thing that we were going to do regarding tactical urbanism tonight was to discuss potential possibly meeting twice a month outside of these monthly collaborative meetings, because your projects are kind of about to hit full swing in the planning department, and you guys are going to need more time to dedicate to this and work together. So since everybody's sharing their contact information in the chat, and I'm sure that you're sharing what community you're from as well, if y'all can kind of do an email chain to discuss among yourselves when would be a good time to meet and get going with the planning of the tactical urbanism projects, that would be wonderful. In Acres Homes, there is a Safe Routes to Schools project that's going on there, or initiative that's going on there that I think we can tap into very easily. So the Safe Routes to Schools work group through Be Well Communities and that funding opportunity, they are meeting the 2nd Tuesday of each month from 4 to 5, which is actually tomorrow is the next meeting. So if you're wanting to be a part of this tactical urbanism project in Acres Homes, please email them so that you can get the invite to that meeting. And then on top of that meeting, I think it would be good for y'all to select a 2nd meeting time each month to really get things going and accomplish what you're wanting to accomplish. So if everybody is okay with that and that you've shared in the chat, then I'm going to trust you guys to kind of get together offline. And if you did share your contact information in the chat, I'll be sending out that chat to everybody. So you'll have all of that very easily at hand. And then Kelly has exciting news for us on the community engagement liaison front for some of the positions we have available in Acres Homes and 3rd Ward.
Yeah, we do. We have positions open in both communities, Acres Homes and 3rd Ward. I know we have a couple of applications in already, and we haven't moved forward with anyone yet. We haven't moved forward with interviews yet at this point, or conversations. They're typically pretty informal with Jennifer and myself. Just honoring Kirk's memory this morning. And I've, to be honest, been out sick as well. But we're going to move forward on that in the next couple weeks, if we possibly into January, depending on how many applications we get in. But it's really flexible, about 10 hours a week. If you're already involved in civic club meetings and meetings like this, it's likely only a couple hours additional. We meet weekly as a core team, and the liaisons, as Sharon said, it's all about getting the word out with the community, being that kind of community mesh to draw connections between people and bring things to Jennifer and his attention that we may have missed, and bring insight to things as we discuss before we come into these bigger meetings and make those smaller decisions as we need to. but yeah, you can contact either me or Jennifer. You will, these positions are technically Houston Parks Board contractors. That's how it's set up. But you can contact either one of us and we'll both work to get people started. They work typically, it's a 3-month gig, and then we'll renew as we go.
All right. And then since I noticed Tanya and we have some other teachers on the line, I did want to give us at least a couple of minutes to talk about the outdoor classrooms budget category. And then I'll go back to the park events and programming for you, Kelly. So we have a $6,000 budget in each community to create an outdoor classroom, kind of a showpiece. At one school campus. Oh, Juanette, I just saw that your hand is raised. I'm sorry. Did you have a question?
Oh, I was going to ask you about something else. I don't want to get you off subject. I'll wait until the end.
Okay.
When you ask.
Okay. So we have $6,000 in Acres Home, $6,000 in Third Ward, tentatively. And the purpose of this is to showcase what an outdoor classroom can look like, how it can best benefit both students and teachers and families potentially. And we want it to really inspire other schools in the community to work on their own outdoor classrooms. And even if they can't do it at the same scale as, you know, our $6,000 outdoor classroom, if we end up spending that whole amount on the classroom, maybe they can get some good tips or inspiration to do some sort of outdoor classroom. Or
Conrad, would you mind checking with
Diane? I'm going to mute you. And then, so we want to get your input on what should the selection criteria be to select a school. Some of the things that have come up are if the school is one of the schools that's going to get this fancy new school garden, maybe that's an incentive to also have that school have an outdoor classroom. Or if they don't have any kind of outdoor space that they can use for their students, maybe that's a reason to have a particular school have the outdoor classroom. But do any of you, just off the top of your heads, have thoughts around what should the selection criteria be? And you definitely don't have to give all of your thoughts right now, just to kind of get the conversation rolling. And then we'll pick this conversation back up again next month after you have a little bit more time to think about it. Any initial thoughts? Rich, you have your hand up.
Well, yeah, I was thinking, I have 2 high school students. One attend Energy and the other one attend Highest. And my youngest son who attend Highest, I know they're, as far as space and having a garden, it's very limited there. And of course, I'm a strong advocate for art. So I'm digesting what you're saying and looking at creating an outdoor garden and an art space for these kids as well. And I've talked to the dean about certain things that we're doing as well in the neighborhood. And this is something that I would bring to her attention.
Okay. We definitely want to hear from schools on what they think selection criteria could be, or why they think they should be the school. They're welcome to give us that information. And in the next couple of months, we'll probably, as I'm getting feedback from the schools on which ones are really interested in this, we might have a meeting where they actually get to present like a 5-minute presentation on why they should be the school. And then maybe the community can vote from there. But that we can think about different ways to go about this as we go along. Are there any teachers on the line who would like to share some of their thoughts around this? Okay, I don't want to put anybody on the spot. Oh, Tanya.
Teacher, I kind of just got involved in this with Miss Harpino. And so I will, on the selection criteria, I'll kind of think about that. Let me think on it and come up with some ideas.
Okay. Yeah, you have 2 very interesting spaces on your campus, Tanya.
Yes, yes, and I think the one that you looked at, it's perfect for outdoor garden, for vegetables, herbs, and the pollinator. Um, I've done a lot of research on it since she's invited me to participate, and I love it. I love it. So, thank you.
I just have to say, and I might have to share this photo when I send out the synopsis of the meeting tonight. When I spent Friday visiting schools in Acres Homes for some of these gardening projects that we're doing. Tanya has gone above and beyond in her preparation for getting ready for this school garden. She actually bought like a landscape architecture setup kit where she could like place plants in different places and a little tables. Like she had, when I came to the school, she was in the school's lobby holding her model school garden for me. It was, Tanya, I'm so impressed with you. That was really nice.
Something Tanya said also, I think support from the school administration is going to be definitely a big selection criteria.
Yeah, absolutely.
Teachers can get it done, but you need support from the top too.
Step in these gardening projects is creating their sustainability plan. So Tanya is going to be a part of that whole thing too. Sustainability is key to everything we do with Healthy Outdoor Communities, is getting those plans in place. Okay, so I'm going to back up a little bit and let Kelly talk about potential park events and programming.
So, I mean, this is so core to Healthy Outdoor Communities. The things that we're thinking that would fall under this category would be events like the movie night that was at Riverside Park, or the neighborhood night out that we did with University Village Civic Club. Things like that can fall under this. It can also be ongoing programming. So like Rich, it could be, you know, an outdoor art class for kids. We are not, we don't envision Healthy Outdoor Communities like hiring a summer staff member to go to parks and be able to do things. So we're reliant on existing or kind of new ideas that are in the community to do programs. So just be thinking of that. We want to discuss how we are picturing this working in the January meeting. We didn't want to spring it on anybody because this is really, really important to Healthy Outdoor Communities. This was what I thought Healthy Outdoor Communities would be, and I'm so glad it's everything else now. But this is really near and dear to me. And then some ideas I had for the park events, we can consider doing something similar to what we're doing for the service, which would be providing equipment that can be rented out by the community so that you can host a movie night, so that you can host like some physical activities. There can be lawn games, there can be a cooler, a tent, a table, everything you kind of need to do a pop-up in the park, because you know, we can't be everywhere on every single weekend, although it does feel like Jennifer is everywhere on every single weekend. So those are some of my thoughts. And, you know, certainly the Houston Parks and Recreation Department and Complete Communities have a role to play in this somehow, although, you know, it remains to be seen kind of where we see them fitting in. So I think what I would prefer to do is see where the community wants to take this. Let's have that conversation in January. And if there are opportunities that we think we need the Parks Department for, or we think could be better executed or done by the city, then we'll bring to them a proposal and maybe have some funding to back that. But I would prefer to get this done as we always have, kind of in-house with all of y'all. Yeah, and don't forget to submit if you have existing events in the past or coming up. You can send those in to Jennifer.
Yes, and let us know how you want us to participate, or our other partners, you know, the rest of the collaborative partners too. It's not just NEO and Houston Parks Board. It's all of you guys and all of your organizations. You're going to get down and dirty with us. And so the $12,000 that's listed there, that's per community. And once again, it's a tentative budget. So if you want to add more money to it from another budget category, you have that opportunity and all that good stuff. Okay, and Juanette, actually, this might be a good place for you to talk. Did you want to just give us a quick, like 1 minute on what's going to be taking place at CUNY Homes and when that's happening?
Yes, that's what I wanted to speak about, but I didn't want to interrupt your train of thought. So we're planning a fall festival. We want to make it an annual thing in the CUNY Homes for the children, everything free to them. So when I seen what you were doing on Saturday when we were there, I was like, man, it would be perfect to align ourselves with you so you can show us, because this is what you do. We're brand new to doing a festival. Of course, you know, we're going to provide games and things of that nature, but the plan is for 2020 to host a series of fundraisers in order to find funding for our event. And you had spoke with a lady that's also in my group, LaTanya Jordan, about financing grants that help support events of that nature. And I know earlier in the meeting, you were saying that you guys support people getting out. So that would be something.
Yeah, so what you guys were describing to me at the event we had yesterday, I think that would definitely fall under the park events and programming scope of things. So that's something that could potentially be covered under the Communities of Care grant, especially CUNY Homes is in Third Ward. So once again, everything we do is kind of decided and voted on by the Third Ward and Acres Homes community members. But I think we would love to hear more about what you guys are thinking of at CUNY Homes. CUNY Homes is definitely a focal point of Third Ward for wanting to serve those families that live in there. I think, am I incorrect in saying that, guys? I know CUNY Homes comes up a lot in conversations.
You're correct. It is the center, what I say, of Third Ward. They need a lot of help and rebuilding. Not just, I mean, I call it counseling. We also plan to assist the individual people in the CUNY Homes with a life coach, you know, to I guess provide them another avenue for a thinking process.
Okay, so make sure you submit the information about that event through this link right here on the page, so that we can bring that up in our January meeting and go to next steps. All right, and then our January meeting, January 10th, 6 to 7:30, second Monday of each month, like always. Here's the registration link so you can share that out with other community members and organizations and whoever you think could help contribute to the work that we're doing in Third Ward and Acres Homes. All are welcome. Rich, I know your hand's been up a little while. Okay, Rich, I think you're muted. Curtis, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, just real quick. I put in the link, and I've kind of waited to share this group you're with in Minneapolis. I waited to share about them until this group got far enough along, Jennifer, and had it. You know, sometimes you don't want to look at other stuff too soon, but I think the timing is primed to look at the Frogtown project. And I put in the chat a link to their planning process document, and it was designed to be somewhat legible to the community in the spirit of the effort that you made, Jennifer, with our earlier document. But it's a good way to kind of be reflective now with what other groups are doing that merge community, art, culture, food, health, all of that kind of good stuff that we've been talking about, and just look at their process and see how much it aligns with what we're doing. These are two neighborhoods that we're working together, and it spawned a urban farming collaborative that now exists in Minneapolis, and the city's kind of taking it over. So maybe the Parks Center could take it over. So what you learn through this process can be propagated, because time is of the essence. And so rather than share this early, I decided to share it a little bit later, once people felt their feet under them, or at least I was hearing it. But I encourage people to read that report. It's short, and read it as encouragement and inspiration for what you're already doing.
Thank you so much. And I think that is all we have this evening. Other than, are there any, oh, Rich, I'm sorry, your hand's up again.
Oh, no, take it down, take it down.
Oh, okay.
Take it down.
So is there anybody else who has any announcements or events that are coming up soon that we should know about or have on our radar?
I am putting a bunch of stuff in the chat right now, so I'm about to hit enter.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Jennifer, this is Catherine.
Hey,
with
Catherine.
Memorial Herman. I know I joined in a little bit late, but I'd like to say hi to everybody. And of course, we were a big part of the event this weekend on Saturday, our Highland Park Holiday Toy Drive, Bike Ride and Toy Drive. And of course, we partnered with Houston Parks Board and Healthy Outdoor Communities, because we're all about getting out and getting people healthy in the parks in Acres Home. And right now we are working to activate Highland Park. So in partnership with Houston Parks and Recreation, they identified Acres Home, Highland Park as one of the parks that they thought needed a lot of attention. So of course, this event this weekend was our first event that was hosted in an effort to bring the community out and activate this park and to introduce the park to the community and really be a part of a great event, was to collect toys for the families of Highland Park community. So if there's anybody out there that are interested in partnering with Memorial Herman as well for future events for the Highland Park area, we would be glad to be partnered with that as well. So thank you, everybody, for coming out. We appreciate all the volunteers that were out there. It was a great event that was hosted by all the partners that were involved in this event. And we look forward to doing some other things in the Highland Park community as well. So if anybody has any ideas or anything that they would like to have at Highland Park, we're more than welcome to partner with everyone else that's on the call. And thanks everybody else for Jennifer, for partnering with us, and Kelly as well with Houston Parks Board. And we look forward to doing some other events in Highland Park in order to make the lives of that community better and get them active and improve their health as well as their wellness.
Love it. I'm dying to do an Easter egg hunt there. Just putting it out there.
Jennifer, I just sent you something that we're doing at Trinity Thursday with the Fresh Produce Mart.
Okay.
And it's going to have a little holiday theme. You know, still centered around health and being outdoor and communicating, but I just sent that to you. If you could share it out on your email distribution list, I would appreciate it. And is the lady on the line still from the maternity house? Is she still there? No?
Yeah, she'll get you.
Kearney, is her name Darlene?
Yes, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, Miss Darlene, I just sent you 2 emails of interest.
Okay, thank you so much.
And I put my cell phone number on there because we have some giveaways that we can give you this Thursday if you contact me. And also on Saturday, we're having an event at Greater St. Matthews. And if you contact me, I can, make sure that you and some of your moms that are in need can get some of these giveaways.
All right, thank you so much. I surely appreciate it.
Guys, this is how a collaborative works. We help each other, right? Teamwork makes the dream work. That's right.
Yeah.
All right, gang. Y'all have a wonderful evening. I will get notes and recordings and everything to you as soon as possible. But we've also, because some of y'all are new, a lot of you are newer to our collaborative. We have created a Google Drive folder where we've been putting like previous meetings, recordings and notes and chats and all of that stuff in there so that you don't have to start from scratch. You can go back and kind of catch up on some previous meetings, information that we've gone over. So you'll get all of that in my recap of everything. But you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. Go eat some dinner, and I will talk to y'all soon.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye, everybody.
Everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Christmas.
Happy holidays if we don't see you.
Bye.